Now, I would like to move on towards our next session, which is a keynote presentation on digital transformation in the cloud era, presented by Mr. Majd Abbar. He is National Technology Officer with Microsoft. Over to you, Mr. Abbar.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you so much. Hope you can see me and hear me fine.
Yes, I can see you.
All right, wonderful. First of all, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here, and it's a pleasure to be able to be with everyone, although virtually, and to talk a little bit about digital transformation in the era of the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, we can see that.
All righty. Let me see. I'm actually not able to see it myself, so let me just do this. Are you seeing the title page?
Yes, yeah, that's fabulous. We are on the presentation mode.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. And so, I want to start by talking about.
Mr. Abbar, I would like to interrupt. Could you please click on the presentation mode?
Oh, it went off presentation mode. Let me get back in. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All righty. Oops.
Perfect.
Okay, yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so basically, in today's world, given the current global climate and the times of uncertainty that we are living in, one thing that we've learned is that no business or organization is immune to the crises, right? And no organization is 100% resilient. And so actually, some of the companies that have, or organizations that have digital abilities were able to pivot much more quickly and rapidly to be able to, address their customers' concerns. Now, this leads us to the topic of resilience. Resilience is the ability to deal with the changing conditions very rapidly and quickly. But this also leads us into tech intensity, meaning that, okay, you've managed to adapt to the changes, but were you able to adapt the technology to fit into your organization to allow you to create your own digital abilities? Now, we've seen some organizations that had already started in their digital transformation journey when the pandemic hit. Those organizations were the most well set to be able to take advantage of the cloud tools, the on-demand tools, cloud technologies, scalability, all of these features of the cloud that allowed them to really meet their customers' needs and be able to also reap some cost savings. But at the same time, to ensure that their employees were constantly connected, that they were being productive, that they're able to perform their work properly. Now, some examples here. When the pandemic hit, these are organizations that had already started on their DT journey. And so, for example, the Ministry of Education in Qatar was able to roll out teams to 400,000 students and teachers immediately to be able to continue with the remote or start the remote learning. Similarly, the Ministry of Transport and Communication, they were able to roll this out to their employees. In Kuwait, the Ministry of Education rolled it out to 500,000 students and teachers. Same thing went in Oman and in Saudi for the ministries of social development. Now, the problem is, so again here, as our CEO very eloquently put it, is that in 2 months, we saw 2 years worth of digital transformation. And this was not just in one area that, you can say, okay, this is a fluke or something. No, rather this went across the board. So from remote teamwork, learning, sales, customer service, cloud infrastructure, all of this simply to be able to help our customers to achieve what they are trying to do. Now, the many challenges that the businesses will face when looking into their digital transformation or we're going digital is the main challenge is actually also the solution. The main challenge is the data. I mean, we have an ever-growing and increasing amount of data. This data is being generated in countless sources. But unfortunately, when the data is created or ingested, it's staying in silos, it's staying in its own disconnected silos, and that is causing a problem. And so again here, the main issue is this siloed data. How can companies and organizations now break free from their product and data silos to interconnect and make sure that, you know, insights, that information is taken across and being used and leveraged properly? Sorry, this is not, here we go. And this is where we get into how do you interconnect all of this together, right? You want to be able to take the outcomes from one system and put it into another system and get an even bigger result out of that. And so for this, we've created what's known as the digital feedback loop. This is one of the most important tools for digital transformation. What we do here is we look at data and intelligence as being the core of this loop, right? So again, everything is going to be based on data. And the outcomes for a successful digital transformation journey is the ability to empower your employees or citizens, if it's a government, to engage your customers, to transform your product, and to optimize your operations. And so, you know, with empowering employees, we want to empower them with connected collaboration. And so it is very critical to do that because employees are your most important competitive advantage. And so, you know, this empowerment is just the start. You need to be able to allow them, enable them to work together so that they can build upon their colleagues' work, that they're able to find information quickly, that they're able to improve the processes to have an even more better workflow. And this is regardless if they are working together in the same office or if they are working remotely. And this is what we've seen happening here during this pandemic. Now, the next outcome that we will look for is the customer engagement. And with the customer engagement, you know, it's no longer enough to engage your customer in one context. No, now you need to have a connected, unified view of your customer, regardless of what industry you're in. And, you know, from all aspects of the work, whether it's service, sales, and so on, they must be able to have a consistent experience. And this here is the keyword, consistent. It cannot be different depending on what they're doing. It has to be the same throughout. So they have to have this consistent experience with your brand. So with the touch point with your brand. And so today, many organizations have a lot of this very rich customer data. But again, unfortunately, it's in silos and you need to be able to break it apart and connect it and use it efficiently. The next step we get into is the product transformation. And with the product transformation, this is where we look at connected innovation. And so, you know, technology underpins everything, whether we're talking about running the business or sales or the product itself and so on. And so what the organizations need to do is that they need to excel at delivering software. And the way to do that is by increasing the developer velocity. We want to be able to, you know, as a lot of the leading companies are doing right now, they're enabling innovation throughout their business with the use of low-code or no-code platforms. This way, everybody in the business can actually become a developer. And this is very important to be able to compete and move forward in this world. And then finally, it's the operation optimization. So we want to optimize operations with connected insights. And so again, here with this connected insights, with the data, with the intelligence from one system, we should be able to take this, use it into another system, and come up with an even better option and solution. But having said all of this, having talked about these four outcomes, it is extremely important that you enable, you know, your digital feedback loop that we talked about with a foundation of identity, security, and compliance. This is extremely important. It's not enough to empower your employees to engage with your customers if you are not doing that in the proper way. So you need to be able to maintain your business continuity, to maintain, to meet regulatory needs, and to earn the trust of the customer. This is extremely important. The customer needs to know they can trust you with their data, with their workloads, and so on. And so to effectively empower your employees, you must ensure their safety, and maintain their trust. And this is what was done with the collaboration tools, ensuring that they're working safely from home, but connected to work. You want to be able to effectively engage customers. You must maintain their trust, safeguard their data, and help ensure that you are using it in the appropriate and compliant way. Again, data is the customer's property and not the cloud provider or the solution provider. If you want to transform the products, then the security must be built into the way the applications are developed at every level. This is extremely important. And then finally, you really cannot optimize operations if you're not connecting the inside, the data, and all of this together in one secure, compliant, and responsible way. Now, and this is where, unfortunately, a lot of the customers, a lot of the businesses today are having to make a very tough trade-off. And the trade-off here is between choosing various points of solutions, which may be best of breed, but very powerful. However, they would be disconnected. So you have these very powerful solutions for each area, but they're not connected together. Or you might have a best of suite that provides you a very broad solution. However, it's not strong in every single one. And the customers should not have to make that decision. They should not have to make that trade-off. They need a connected, effective, solution that provides depth, which is the best of breed, and cohesion, which is the best of suite, to be able to move this. And that's how Microsoft Cloud is built. The Microsoft Cloud is built to provide this cohesive experience, providing you, productivity tools like Microsoft 365, business, Dynamics, developer platforms, GitHub, Azure itself. And all of this built on a very secure identity, security management, and compliance platform. Now, when you're looking again for that solution on a cloud, that solution must have 4 very important pillars. One, it must be future ready. Yes, it should have the technologies you need today, but it should be designed and built for the future. It should really have into account AI, the edge, quantum computing, and so on. Once you start a journey, you want to continue in that same process. Build on your own terms. You want to make sure that, from a developer perspective, that you are able to build on your own terms what you want. Basically, that you are able to use the tools you want, the open source, or what have you. And then, technology could be sitting in the cloud, in a public cloud. It could be sitting in your private data center. It could be on the edge somewhere. You need to be able to operate regardless where this technology is or the data, right? It needs to be a very seamless operation, that is cohesive and that the customer doesn't care where they are as long as they're getting the results. And then finally, trust. Obviously, it needs to be trusted, whether it's with the certifications, the compliance, it's about security, it's about transparency, and so on. And that is what Microsoft Azure actually provides. All of these, it's not just it provides that, it is built based on these 4 main pillars. And so now we know that, in today's organizations, there are, hundreds to thousands of applications out there. And the organizations are currently modernizing their data centers, building their applications. And so the IT departments face some very tough questions, such as, how do we seamlessly govern and secure IT resources, regardless on where they are running or what platform they're running on? How do you bring cloud innovation to existing infrastructure? If you have your own infrastructure, but you want to have cloud services on there, or you want to modernize it, how can you extend the compute and artificial intelligence to the edge so you can unlock more scenarios? And so, Azure has understood this and made sure that this is part of the design right from the beginning. And so here, when we look at, again, as mentioned, that a lot of organizations have so many applications and platforms that they're working on. So how can you take advantage of this multi-cloud? How can you take advantage of the IaaS, the PaaS, the SaaS, all of these things? So if you look at, in some cases, for example, applications like SharePoint, Exchange, Office, and so on, these can be easily moved into the SaaS model, right? And that frees up resources and people for you to do other things. Similarly, for applications that can be moved quickly without any changes, like shift and lift, these can all move and be used on the deployed on an IaaS VM. And so the other aspect is that you have workloads that must stay on-prem, right? Sometimes you have things that have to stay on your private data center for multiple reasons, whether it's data residency, data sovereignty, regulations, legislations, and so on. Or maybe you're just not ready to migrate yet. There are cases where you have legacy apps that need to be running on your system, but you also want it to be modernized with the advanced services. And then finally, you have what needs to be out on the edge. It needs to be next to where the data is collected. This is where the compute needs to happen. This is where everything needs to be. And so what we are looking here is that you need to be able to do all of this without, very seamlessly, without having to worry about any of this stuff. And this is what the IT departments and organizations have to deal with. And so that's what Azure Hybrid actually provides at this point. We look at what can be provided here, whether it's a SaaS solution, whether you have Azure providing the compute, the storage, and our latest offering, Azure Arc. Azure Arc is amazing. It brings Azure management and Azure services to any infrastructure with a single control plane. It doesn't matter now where they are. It just gels everything together and brings it in. And why would you move into a hybrid strategy? I mean, the theme of this conference is also about hybrid. There are cases where you really need to have a hybrid strategy. So it's not an all or nothing. It's not that everything has to be on the public cloud or on-prem. You can do any combinations that you want, and Microsoft offers that option. So, for example, regulatory, as mentioned, and data sovereignty. You don't want your data to leave your premises or the country. Low latency and edge workloads. You need to ensure that there's a low latency and that this is happening right where the data is collected or happening on-prem. Again, you've put such a huge investment into your data center. You don't want to throw that away. Yet you really want to benefit from the advances in the cloud, and you can bring in the stack onto and modernize your private data center that way. And then finally, for business continuity and resilience, ensuring there's always a backup, there's always the failover, and so on. And so again, back to this, idea that with the Microsoft Cloud, you're able to stay interconnected, to have this whole cohesive experience, and to enable, most importantly, your digital transformation, from empowering your employees to engaging your customers, to product transformation, and to operation optimization. Now, having said all of this, for us, our purpose is very clear. In every industry and in every country, we are committed to empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this and you found this informative and beneficial. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Abbar, for the extremely insightful session.